All right, let's jump right into this one. Today we are taking a seriously fascinating, speculative deep dive into the 2026 Spurs and what's being called their Texas Rodeo hero's journey. This incredibly detailed explainer is based on a narrative straight from the minds behind the Wembanyama Online project. It's part fan fiction, part meticulous basketball analysis, and honestly, a whole lot of Texas swagger. We're going to walk through this mythical season and explore how a young team transforms into a legitimate championship juggernaut. It is an absolute roller coaster of a ride, so let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. Every single year, the San Antonio Spurs have to deal with this totally bizarre scheduling quirk. Real-life cow ropers and bucking Broncos completely take over the Frostbank Center for the annual Texas Rodeo. Because of this, the Spurs are quite literally evicted from their own arena and forced onto a massive, multi-week road trip. Now, in the context of this speculative 2025-2026 season, the authors frame this not just as some annoying scheduling conflict, but as the ultimate mid-season gauntlet. This road trip is the crucible. It's where the team has to prove if they actually have the mental toughness to win in hostile territory and chase an NBA title.
Now, to really appreciate where this team is going in this story, you have to look at the absolute abyss they crawled out of. I mean, the previous 2024-2025 season, total nightmare. They finished with a 34-48 record. Victor Wembanyama suffered a terrifying deep vein thrombosis injury and only played 46 games. And even worse, legendary head coach Greg Popovich suffered a career-ending stroke. It was an incredibly bleak time. But under newly elevated head coach Mitchell C. Johnson, this 2025-2026 team flips the script entirely, rocketing to a jaw-dropping 62-20 record. Overcoming that incredibly dark prior season is exactly what sets the massive emotional stakes for this fictional hero's journey. So as the guys pack their bags for this brutal stretch away from home, the authors brilliantly frame it as the rodeo ride. You know, channeling that legendary Willie Nelson tune, the team is quite literally on the road again. In any classic hero's journey, this represents the exact moment the protagonist leaves the comfort of their home to venture out into the unknown. The young Spurs are leaving the safety of San Antonio to prove their worth on hostile ground against these Eastern Conference powerhouses and fierce rivals. Basically, they have to ride this metaphorical bull and hold on to the reins for dear life.
But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually measure their success on a trip like this? Well, the authors bring up a legendary piece of basketball wisdom, Phil Jackson's 40-20 rule. Jackson, a guy with 13 NBA rings, famously stated that a legitimate championship contender absolutely must win 40 games before accumulating 20 losses. It's a mathematical benchmark of greatness, essentially demanding a 67% win percentage over the first 60 games. For this speculative project to even keep going, the authors demand that their fictional Spurs pass this very real, very grueling championship litmus test.
And wow, just look at where they're standing right around the All-Star break. A stunning 38-16 record. They are right on the cusp of hitting Phil Jackson's legendary benchmark. I mean, they've completed 54 games of the 82-game grind and are sitting comfortably in second place in a fiercely competitive Western Conference. By weathering the initial storms of that Rodeo Road Trip, they are proving to everyone, and honestly most importantly to themselves, that they are right on track to completely smash that championship rule.
Naturally, a record like that brings a massive wave of swagger. The authors actually proudly declare the Spurs are the new Cowboys of the West. Think about that. They are no longer just some rebuilding squad hoping for a lucky break. They have officially pulled up a chair at the big boy table. They are out there trading blows with the 2023 champion Denver Nuggets and the 2025 defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. These young upstarts have found their confidence, and the rest of the league is officially on notice.
Now, every great hero needs a guide, right? Well, in this explainer, our guides are the wonderfully eccentric authors of the source material themselves, Mr. Fat Hat and Dr. Cricket Duncanstein. These two act as the mystical, slightly quirky mentors for this fictional basketball quest. They're the ones observing the games, writing up the scouting reports, and dispensing this incredibly specific, old-school basketball wisdom to the young Spurs as they navigate the highs and lows of the season.
And they really inject their unique Texas humor into their coaching, too. Dr. Duncanstein insists that Victor Wembanyama needs a secret weapon for the road trip, a massive Texas Stetson cowboy hat. But wait, it's not just for fashion. Duncanstein humorously claims the actual secret to winning and of Victor finding his physical balance on the court is all in the perfect bend of the hat's rim. It's just this hilarious, highly stylized way of saying the young star needs to embrace the Texas culture and find his center of gravity.
But hey, it's not all just hats and jokes. Dr. Duncanstein actually lays out some genuine old-school basketball mechanics. He gives Victor a specific 3-step footwork fix referencing the legendary gritty teachings of the late coach Rick Majerus. Step 1, perfect that defensive stance. Step 2, lower that center of gravity so you don't get pushed around in the paint. And Step 3, master the baby jump hook with both hands. It's this fantastic blend of eccentric storytelling grounded in fundamental, physical basketball truths.
And obviously, you can't have an epic road trip without a killer soundtrack. That's just a rule. The authors vividly bring this journey to life by assigning Willie Nelson as the team's metaphorical DJ. They imagine the team blasting Texas legends on the bus to get hyped up. They specifically highlight Stevie Ray Vaughan's iconic hit, Let's Dance, which was famously backed by David Bowie and filmed right in Texas, as the Spurs' ultimate rallying cry before taking the floor in Austin. It sets such a vibrant, energetic tone for the whole season.
You have got to hear Dr. Duncanstein's highly specific scouting report for an upcoming game against the Detroit Pistons. It starts off normal enough, right? Stop offensive rebounds, box out on every single shot, absolutely no cherry-picking allowed. Standard stuff. But then, to emphasize just how tightly they need to guard Pistons star Cade Cunningham, the report demands the defenders get so close they can check his gum flavor by halftime. It's a brilliant, funny way to communicate the sheer intensity required to win these tough road games.
You know, over an 82-game grind, a team faces some vastly different challenges. On one hand, you have a total snooze fest against the Los Angeles Lakers, who the authors hilariously dismiss as the JV team after the Spurs blow them out 136-108. The mentors actually complain about falling asleep during that game. Contrast that with the gritty Detroit Pistons, described as tough cookies who don't shoot from downtown but just relentlessly pound you inside on the boards. A true championship team has to know how to beat both the flashy teams and the street fighters.
So, fast forward past the regular season, and the Spurs enter the playoff gauntlet, and man, this path is brutal. In mid-April, they dispatched the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games. In early May, they face a grueling 6-game series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then, waiting for them in late May, is the ultimate test, the Western Conference Finals against the defending NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Just look at the back and forth of this 7-game heavyweight bout against Oklahoma City. It is a total bloodbath. The Spurs take Game 1, drop Game 2, bounce back to blow them out in Game 3, only to lose Games 4 and 6. It all comes down to a pivotal Game 7 on the road. Relying on all that resilience built up during that mid-season rodeo trip, the San Antonio Spurs pull off a 111-103 victory. They literally slay the reigning kings of the West.
So how exactly did they survive that gauntlet? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle was their sheer offensive firepower. They averaged an elite 119.8 points per game during the regular season. To put that into perspective, that ranked 3rd in the entire NBA. Combined with an elite defense that held opponents to just 111.5 points, they had the statistical profile of a true juggernaut. That perfect balance of high-octane scoring and disciplined defense is exactly what carried them through the grueling Western Conference bracket.
Which finally brings us to the culmination of this incredible hero's journey. The date is June 3rd, 2026. The Wembanyama Online authors finally get to witness their hypothetical Spurs reach the NBA Finals, facing off against the New York Knicks. This right here is the ultimate boon of the hero's journey. The final prize after all the trials, the road trips, the injuries of the past, and the grueling playoff series. The authors note that their website's ticker tape is running, their work is complete, and now it's entirely up to the players to seize their destiny on the biggest stage imaginable.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you all with a thought. The authors of this project frequently mention that winning a championship requires favorable decisions from the basketball gods. They plotted out this incredibly detailed, fan-driven prophecy of a 62-win season and a legendary finals run. So, my question to you is, when the actual 2025-2026 NBA season tips off, will reality mirror this epic fictional journey? Will Victor Wembanyama don the cowboy hat and lead his team to the promised land? I guess we'll just have to watch and see. Thanks for hanging out with me for this incredible ride.